Outrageous Chapter 50. Chu Luo had been happily planning to look for Sang Wansi to head to the filming set together. Who knew that he didn't get to see Sang Wansi, but he got to see Liu Jiwei instead. Everybody said that enemies will always meet on the same narrow road. Will love rivals now also always meet on the narrow road? Why are you here? He repeated the same question in disbelief. Liu Jiwei clearly had her own hotel room. Why did she appear in Sang Wansi's room wearing her pajamas? The answer was actually obvious. But Chu Luo didn't want to face that reality. This was his love rival. Who would be willing to see their love rival appear in their love interest's room? It wasn't okay even if they were girlfriends, they were in a production crew, can't they be more discreet? Liu Jiwei's face was full of helplessness. Almost everybody on the crew knew that she moved in with Sang Wansi because of her hand injury, right as the male lead of Questioning Deity Sect, the person with the second most scenes in the whole drama, someone who stayed on set the whole day. Could he really be so oblivious to what was happening? Besides, she was Sang Wansi's girlfriend, it was so normal for them to stay together. What was so surprising? The only thing abnormal was this original male lead. He knew Sang Wansi was attached, but was still so arrogant to pester her and think that he could make her fall in love with him. This was simply unsavable, she might as well bury him earlier. Once she thought that this was his true nature, Liu Jiwei had no leniency towards him anymore. How could this stinky man match up to their beautiful and mesmerizing teacher Sang? Rubbish script, rubbish system, rubbish pairing. It's a pity the system couldn't be given a punch, but she could agitate Chu Luo. She leaned against the door frame, looking at Chu Luo calmly. Why else? Of course, it's because I should be here, otherwise some dogs with bad memory might keep pestering my Wansi. My Wansi. Please read at Julian Lien. WordPress. He had no rebuttal. Could it be that his charm really wasn't as good as Liu Jiwei's to Sang Wansi? Could it be that Sang Wansi liked Liu Jiwei so much that they had to live together even when they were on set? Could it be that in their hearts, he was really just a worthless speck of dust? Chu Luo started to question his existence. He felt like his blood pressure was rising. His charisma has been severely insulted. Liu Jiwei loved watching his angry expression. If he could remember this and stop pestering Sang Wansi, it would be even better. Mr. Chu, now that it has come to this, I'd like to ask you to look at things clearly. Don't keep pestering someone else's girlfriend, this sort of action is despicable. You should do stuff that doesn't disgrace your appearance. She had to admit, Chu Luo was indeed the most handsome man she had ever seen in her life, but he was also the most narcissistic. Narcissistic to the point that he wasn't likable at all. He was simply wasting his looks. It was such an odd thing too. In the original script, whatever he did was accepted and didn't make people dislike him. Why was he so bothersome now? Could it be that because he had the male protagonist halo in the original script, so there was a filter? If that's the case, this protagonist halo was too deceiving. Hearing that, Chu Luo looked at Liu Jiwei. His obsessiveness over Sang Wansi came when he fell in love with her at first sight. From the first time he saw Sang Wansi, he wanted to obtain her, to protect her, to be with her forever. At the same time, he was a man who believed deeply in the idea of ceremony. He believed that if you liked someone, you should announce it, put your stamp on it and let everybody witness this romance. He didn't like hiding the relationship or his feelings. So, as long as Sang Wansi didn't announce to the world that she and Liu Jiwei were together, he wouldn't give up on liking her. He refused to stop until all hope was lost. So many secret relationships failed in this industry. In this day and age when same-sex marriage wasn't even legal, how long could Sangwon Ci and Liu Jiwei last? He was willing to wait. Wait until Sangwon Ci was single again, or until she announced to the world that she had a same-sex partner and utterly destroyed his hope. Liu Jiwei, his eyes were burning. The show isn't over yet, nobody knows how it'll end. Rubbish, I've seen the script for the ending, I've known it a long time ago. Liu Jiwei wouldn't entertain him. Besides, she did have the script for this world. Although she couldn't really use it, but the ending definitely wouldn't change. Chu Luo. Did this person not understand analogies? Was she really dumb or faking it? Humph, dumb woman. Chu Luo looked at her arrogantly. I advise you to see yourself clearly. I can give Wan Ci everything she wants. What can you give her? After he said it, he saw Liu Jiwei consider it seriously as he couldn't help but smile. Think about it. Please read it. Julian Lien. WordPress.com. After thinking about it, you'll realize there's an entire Pacific Ocean between you and me. Feel ashamed, woman. Then, he saw Liu Jiwei answer innocently, I can make dumplings for her. Chu Luo. Is she even on the same frequency as me? Chu Luo felt he really couldn't communicate with her, and he left in a huff. Liu Jiwei stood at the door, watching him leave. Then she retreated back into the room and sat on the sofa, looking at the sky outside. Of course she knew there was an enormous difference between herself and him. Family background, success, and looks. It was a tragedy if she compared the current male lead to the original male lead. But she still had to grit her teeth and make her own mark on this road. She had to work hard to become excellent and stand out. She didn't have a choice, and she didn't want to lose. Losing meant that the world would collapse and numerous innocent people would become like the old her. Not everybody could withstand becoming transparent like her. For these people, she had to walk this road to the end. Bored, she called out for Lao Wu, preparing to complain to him. But Lao Wu was fixing the program and had no time to chat with her. She OE'd and turned on the television. The employees were still setting up the scene. Sangwon Ci sat outside with her script, her eyebrows furrowed as her fingertips gently pressed on her temple. Seeing it, Xiao Chu asked in concern, what is it, Xiao Sang, you didn't sleep well? Sangwon Ci shook her head slightly, it's a small issue. It was another headache. But her headache was so odd. No doctor could figure out the reason for it, and it didn't hurt for a very long time. Everybody just thought that she didn't get enough rest. Xiao Chu asked worriedly, is it because you didn't sleep well since there's another person, so your headache is more frequent? Suddenly having to share your room with a person, it would be understandable if you didn't sleep well, right? If Liu Jiwei tossed and turned in her sleep, then it would be even worse. That was just tormenting her artiste. Hearing her words, Sangwon Ci couldn't help but think of Liu Jiwei. Her face, her smile, and her warm, gentle fingers. Sangwon Ci slowly closed her eyes. She really wanted Liu Jiwei to help her massage her head. Sangwon Ci sighed softly. It has nothing to do with her, don't overthink. How could it be a torment to spend time with Liu Jiwei? If it was a torment, then how could she have been enticed by the atmosphere last night to want to kiss her? This was too ridiculous. The headache came quickly, and left quickly. But no matter what, it was good enough that it stopped hurting. She sighed in relief and continued flipping through the script. Chu Luo had gotten his makeup done and arrived at the set. He looked around and pulled a chair to sit next to Sangwon Ci. Sangwon Ci looked at him blandly, then leaned her body in the opposite direction. "You're quite early, Miss Sang," Chu Luo said, smiling politely. Earlier than Mr. Chu." Sang Wanci didn't even bother lifting her head. Please read at Julian Lien. WordPress. Chu Luo looked at the people beside them and asked his assistant and Xiao Chu to leave for a bit so they could speak privately. After the two of them had left, he immediately said, "Wanci, you. Miss Sang, please call me that instead, Mr. Chu." Sang Wanci interrupted. Chu Luo amended his words, "Miss Sang, why did you let Liu Jiwei move into your room?" Sang Wanci flipped a page, her eyes as indifferent as snow. "It's only natural for her to stay with me. Does Mr. Chu have a problem?" "Only natural." Chu Luo frowned. "You two have really progressed to the point of living together." Hearing that, Sang Wanci looked up. Developed to the point of living together, didn't he know that Liu Jiwei's fingers were hurt? She contemplated Chu Luo for a moment silently. It was normal that he didn't know. After all, how could such a narcissistic person care about other people? Since he thought it was because of their relationship. Then let him continue. Is there a problem?" Sang Wanci rebutted. "Let's just pretend she was living with her girlfriend." She hoped Chu Luo would come to terms with it sooner and let her go instead of continuing to pester her and annoy her. Chu Luo simply could not believe it. God, the two of them had actually developed their relationship to this stage. Despicable, it must be Liu Jiwei who had bewitched their pure Wanci. At this moment, Director Guo came over. She saw Sang Wanci and asked, "Wanci, how's Xiao Lu's hand, is she okay?" Chu Luo paused in confusion. Xiao Lu's hand. Sang Wanci politely stood up and replied, "It's much better after applying medicine, it doesn't hurt anymore today." Director Guo nodded, "That's good. You two are friends and she doesn't have an assistant, so I'll have to trouble you to look after her. But don't tire yourself out, make sure to rest." Sang Wanci nodded, "It's a small matter, it's not tiring." Chu Luo, please read at Julian Lien. WordPress. Even Director Guo knew they were living together. It felt like in the whole world, only he didn't know. No way this was happening. He hurriedly grabbed his assistant and asked what was going on. He had poured all his attention into filming, and aside from asking about Sang Wanci, he hadn't paid attention to anything else. But his assistant would wait on set and speak to the staff from time to time, so he would definitely know more than Chu Luo. The assistant said, "Oh, you don't know Luo Ji, Liu Jiwei injured her hand while filming yesterday. Miss Sang offered to take care of her, so Miss Liu moved into her room. I think Liu Jiwei will probably stay until her hand recovers, but honestly, they have a really good relationship. This sort of moving friendship was really rare, having to take time out of your schedule while filming to take care of a friend. Anyway, he hadn't seen such a thing in all his years of working in the industry." Chu Luo finally understood. So that was it. So he had misunderstood. They weren't cohabiting, they hadn't reached that stage yet. It was just helping out of friendliness. He looked towards Sang Wanci. Indeed, the woman he fell for was so kind and loving. Sang Wanci naturally also heard what Chu Luo's assistant said. She was immediately met with Chu Luo's love-struck expression when she turned around. He must be doing it again. No, she couldn't let that happen. Sang Wanci sat down calmly and waited for Chu Luo's assistant to leave before saying, "He's wrong." Chu Luo paused, "What's wrong?" Sang Wanci, "Jiwei won't leave once her hand recovers." Chu Luo. Sang Wanci turned to look at him, speaking at a volume that only the two of them could hear. She will stay with me all the way until she's done with her scenes and leaves the crew. Does Mr. Chu understand? Chu Luo. Damn it, he didn't want to understand at all. Sang Wanci wrapped up her scenes late today. It was almost 12:30 am by the time she got back to the hotel. Once she entered the door, her head started hurting again all of a sudden. The next second, someone was supporting her. Headache again. Liu Jiwei looked at her worriedly. Sang Wanci was a bit surprised she hadn't gone to bed yet. Liu Jiwei hugged her arm and brought her to the sofa, ignoring her surprise. Once Liu Jiwei sat down, she patted her legs, indicating for Sang Wanci to lie down. Quick, I'll massage it for you. Sang Wanci rubbed her forehead, looking at Liu Jiwei's hands. Liu Jiwei curved her fingers. I'll use my knuckles to do it, not my fingertips, don't worry. Sang Wanci still seemed doubtful. Liu Jiwei couldn't be bothered to argue, directly pulling her down onto her lap. Her strength was controlled well. A light massage started on Sang Wanci's temples, with the pain easing almost like a light breeze was blowing it away. Feeling better, Sang Wanci relaxed. As Liu Jiwei massaged, she said, "Don't force yourself if you're not feeling well." Sang Wanci's voice was light, "I'm not feeling unwell." Liu Jiwei frowned, clearly unhappy. "Nonsense, you're already like this, you're still denying it." Sang Wanci pursed her lips and stayed silent. She didn't know why, hearing Liu Jiwei care for her like this, her heart actually felt happy. Seeing her stay silent, Liu Jiwei started wondering if she had been too fierce. Maybe. A little. Please read at Julian Lien. WordPress. Calm. She quickly softened her tone, saying embarrassedly, "Did I scare you? Sorry, I didn't mean to be fierce." Sang Wanci smiled slightly, "No, not fierce." She had never seen Liu Jiwei so concerned for someone else. Anxious, stern, brimming with concern. It felt like she was the only one who had been placed at the very tip of Liu Jiwei's heart to be carefully protected. Truthfully, this feeling of being cherished was pretty nice. Liu Jiwei asked, "Feel better yet?" Sang Wanci hummed gently. Liu Jiwei didn't stop her ministrations. "That's good. If you're not feeling well, tell me in the future, got it?" Sang Wanci nodded, her head resting in Liu Jiwei's lap. "Jiwei," Sang Wanci suddenly asked. "Why aren't you sleeping yet?" Liu Jiwei looked down at her. "I was waiting for you to come back. Didn't our teacher Sang tell me to wait for you when you left today?" Sang Wanci startled, looking at her. "I said it, so you'll satisfy me." Even if she had to work late into the night before coming back, would Liu Jiwei still wait obediently for her? She couldn't help but hope that the answer was yes. Because it would make her happy. Liu Jiwei said, "Of course. Besides, I have nothing to do here, right?" Compared to waiting around boredly, at least it was better to wait for Sang Wanci to come back. The summer night was silent, with a quiet breeze. The world seemed to have sunk into slumber, with nobody around to disturb the two of them. Sang Wanci's eyes looked at Liu Jiwei's clean face unblinkingly. Liu Jiwei's eyes contained light, gentleness, and her. A subtle feeling suddenly sprouted like a seedling from soil, continually bumping against the top of her heart. She wanted to grab onto it, but couldn't. In the blink of an eye, the feeling slipped away from her fingers like smoke. She felt like something about her feelings towards Liu Jiwei had changed. She didn't know what it was, she had to figure it out herself. So please read at Julian Lien. WordPress. Com. She had to keep Outrageou way. Sangwon Ci grabbed her hand and sat up, looking at her. I have a request that I need you to satisfy now. What? Sangwon Ci didn't beat around the bush. Stay here, with me, until you finish all your scenes and leave the production crew. Sangwon Ci, ah. This suddenly why Outrageou didn't know why she suddenly made this decision. Sangwon Ci said calmly, because of Chu Luo. Outrageou. Sangwon Ci, I told him today that you would continue staying with me, until you finished your scenes. Outrageou. Here it comes, our female lead who didn't follow the script had struck against the greasy male lead. Outrageou could almost imagine Chu Luo's expression when he heard that. The female lead who didn't follow the script truly would never let anyone down. Outrageou, you're still the strongest. JPG. But there was a problem that Outrageou couldn't solve. I can stay here with you now that I'm injured, but to keep staying. How should we explain it to others? Not everybody felt like the two of them had a thing like Chu Luo. But if there wasn't a valid explanation, then everybody would really think they had a thing. She was fine with it, but she didn't know if Sangwon Ci minded. Sangwon Ci stayed silent for a moment, then looked towards the kitchen. Then we can say it's for your culinary skills. Outrageou was dazed. Ah. Sangwon Ci said calmly, we can tell others that I like your cooking, so I made you stay with me. Outrageou didn't have scenes every day, so she could also cook when she had time. There was a saying, the common people depended on food. Humankind needed food to live, and it had to be good food at that. Outrageou thought about it, it feels possible. She felt like this could work. Sigh, to let Chu Luo give up on Sangwon Ci, the two of them were working hard. Hopefully Chu Luo could feel their sincerity and quickly give up, stop making himself so detestable. Sangwon Ci didn't think that way though. For the first time, she felt Chu Luo's usefulness. If not for him, she really didn't know what reason she could use to let Outrageou agree to stay so effortlessly. Although he was troublesome, he was also pretty useful. She stood up to fetch her pajamas, then indicated for Outrageou to come over. Let us bathe. 2 normal words, yet they were enough to make Outrageou's face flush. But they had bathed together yesterday, so there was little to make a fuss over. Outrageou prepared herself emotionally and followed behind Sangwon Ci. Sangwon Ci raised her hand and casually took her hair tie out. Her smooth, long hair fell down her back, brushing past her white ear as she carelessly lifted her hair behind her right shoulder. Standing behind and watching, Outrageou could see traces of her pale neck exposed under her black hair as she tilted her head. Without any superfluous movements, it was charming and attractive, making her heart flutter. Outrageou's heart took another hit. Her ears started reddening again. Bathing with such an attractive person, who could stop themselves from blushing? Outrageou's hand was recovering more and more every day. Sangwon Ci was also trying hard to find the answer she wanted. She even searched for the same question in the relationship advice column in many apps. Why would you suddenly want to kiss someone of the same sex? There were many answers that came out, but most of them pointed to the same possibility. Liking them. Liking them. She fell into a daze as she held her phone. Did she like Outrageou? It really wasn't just the atmosphere that night. She didn't dare to make any conclusive judgments. Liking someone was a very precious emotion, worthy of being cautious and careful. Outrageou sat on the sofa, sneakily looking at Sang Wansi sitting out on the balcony alone, staring at the moon. Sang Wansi had been like this frequently over the last few days. When she didn't have a scene to shoot, she would sit alone, thinking about stuff. Liu Jiwei didn't know what was troubling her. The system couldn't help her check what Sang Wansi was thinking either. Lao Wu had said it, the system could only make decisions based on the expressions and feelings that the female lead showed. Unless they also inserted a system into the female lead, nobody would know what she was thinking. And forget about inserting a system, it would definitely require the host to complete missions. That's the point of inserting a system, and if you didn't complete them, you would get shocked. Liu Jiwei didn't want Sang Wansi to suffer. Wansi, Liu Jiwei said softly. Do you have something on your mind? With such a light sound, Sang Wansi's thoughts were pulled back. She turned to look at the person who was full of concern for her, as she smiled slightly, her eyes peaceful, nothing. She couldn't confess it to the person she was thinking about. After all, she hadn't confirmed it yet. Getting up and walking back into the room, she pulled the curtains closed as she picked up the script. Let us rehearse. Liu Jiwei immediately took out her own script and happily said, let us. She hadn't rehearsed in a few days now. If not for Sang Wansi needing someone to rehearse with so she could practice, her acting skills would start getting rusty. Her hands were much better now, it definitely wouldn't be a problem to hold stuff. She flipped through the script. What scene are you filming tomorrow? Sang Wansi's face was calm, the scene where the female and male leads confirm their relationship. Liu Jiwei immediately got it. The scene with the kissing scene. But based on Sang Wansi and Chu Luo's current situation, it probably couldn't be a real kiss. So, they would probably fake it with the angles they did the angle trick when Sang Wansi was filming Phoenix with Ying Xize2. Actually, there were many ways to express feelings. As long as the director knew how to shoot it, even if the lead only used their eyes to express it, the atmosphere could also be filled with romantic intent. So to express love, a kissing scene wasn't the only way. She was unclear how Sang Wansi and the director would decide for the sake of the effect. She didn't dare to assume, but she was also too embarrassed to ask. She could only assume the role of the male lead now and rehearse with Sang Wansi. She concentrated on getting into character, and went through the scene with Sang Wansi holding the script. She followed the request to lean in towards Sang Wansi. When she came back to her senses, four eyes were looking straight at each other, and they could almost feel each other's breath. Sang Wansi didn't retreat, she didn't move at all. Her glimmering eyes looked straight at the person in front of her, unblinking. Under her gaze, Liu Jiwei blushed. Help, what should she say now to make it less awkward? After that, the male lead kisses the female lead. She said dumbly. After that, she saw Sang Wansi's eyes move, the stars hidden inside shining. She heard Sang Wansi's response, then quickly retreated to her original position, rubbing her fingers against each other as her ears started burning. Save her, how could it be so awkward? How could she lean in so closely, as if she had ulterior motives towards Sang Wansi? Looking at such a pretty face from such a close distance, she almost died. She sighed internally. The atmosphere calmed down again. The two of them sat there in silence. Liu Jiwei was praying for Sang Wansi to speak. As long as she spoke, Liu Jiwei would definitely be able to continue the conversation. As if feeling her embarrassment, Sang Wansi called out, Jiwei. Liu Jiwei looked at her. Sang Wansi made eye contact, and asked, have you kissed someone before? Liu Jiwei froze. No. Thinking about her 26 years of life, how could someone kiss her? Hearing that, Sang Wanxi leaned in slightly. Liu Jiwei watched her pink lips part, as they said a sentence that was unforgettable. Then, do you want to try with me? Outrageous Chapter 51. Sang Wanxi's words settled. Liu Jiwei's eyes were filled with astonishment. This was a question she had never imagined would come out of Sang Wanxi's mouth and be directed to her. She forgot how to speak, staring blankly at the person in front of her. Why would she ask this question? How did things get to this stage? Who could answer her? What exactly was going on? She didn't understand. But her gaze still drifted to Sang Wanxi's lips. Her lips were well-defined and beautiful. The color of her lips was naturally a slight pink, attractive enough even without makeup. It looked soft, enticing. It was like a peach hanging from a branch, exuding a seductive fragrance. Liu Jiwei couldn't help but take another look, only raising her eyes when she felt like she had stared long enough. In her panic, she met eyes with Sang Wanxi. Sang Wanxi looked at the person in front of her, not moving. She knew what she was doing. She wanted to kiss Liu Jiwei. From the moment Liu Jiwei had leaned over when they were rehearsing. When their eyes met and their breaths were intermingling. There was a sort of recklessness that crested when Liu Jiwei drew near. Looking at Liu Jiwei so closely, she seemed to want to kiss her more than ever. This was a feeling she had never had before. And she chose to embrace this feeling. She suddenly felt curious. Curious about what Liu Jiwei's lips would taste like. Curious about how kissing someone would feel. She had never kissed anyone before. They had always used the angle trick when filming, except for that time when Liu Jiwei had accidentally brushed her lips against the corner of Sang Wanxi's mouth. Coincidentally, Liu Jiwei had never kissed anyone either. There was a fleeting moment when Sang Wanxi had suddenly thought of grabbing Liu Jiwei and asking her not to leave, to stay by her side forever. It came suddenly, an odd yet subtle feeling. But her attention was not on it at this moment. But on whether Liu Jiwei would agree or not. If she didn't agree, Sang Wanxi would probably never ever bring up this ridiculous request again. Liu Jiwei panicked, not knowing what to do. Should she agree for the mission, or for the selfish desire that suddenly appeared in her heart? She didn't even understand why Sang Wanxi would suddenly ask something like this. Wanxi, you. She hesitated. Because I'm curious what it feels like to kiss someone. Sang Wanxi seemed to already have known what she was going to ask. Are you not willing? This time, she didn't call Jija to make Liu Jiwei unable to refuse. If they were going to kiss, she wanted it to be of Liu Jiwei's own free will and desire, or it would be too forced. Liu Jiwei's throat was suddenly dry, as if a fire had rampaged there, heating up her heart as well. She didn't know why this was happening. Sang Wanxi was just curious. It wasn't out of liking her. Why was she so nervous? Was it because a person who had never been in a relationship had suddenly been met with an intimate request at this moment? The system who had detected the atmosphere came out to play again. Mission issued. Agree to the female lead Sang Wanxi. A night of spring is worth 1,000 gold pieces. 1. Time limit, the entire night. Liu Jiwei. Why was there suddenly a night of spring is worth 1,000 gold pieces? A kiss can lead to a night of spring is worth 1,000 gold pieces, and this time limit for the entire night is too scary. Seeing her stay silent, Sang Wanxi had her answer. She moved away, saying, "It's okay if you don't want to." It seemed that she was indeed making things difficult for Sang Wanxi, ridiculous and absurd. Liu Jiwei. She quickly grabbed Sang Wanxi's hand and said nervously, No, I'm not, I'm willing to. Her voice grew smaller and smaller as her ears grew redder and redder. She felt like her entire face was about to start erupting smoke. Kissing Sang Wanxi. She hadn't thought about it yet. This felt like a dream. Sang Wanxi turned around, the light in her eyes growing brighter like a star shining in the sky. She was very happy that Liu Jiwei said she was willing. She couldn't describe the feeling, ethereal and elusive. Liu Jiwei lowered her eyes and touched her lips. She felt like they were a bit dry. Should I put on some lip balm first? Sang Wanxi was just about to say there was no need, when Liu Jiwei quickly stood up and rushed to apply it. This was her first kiss, and it was her first kiss with the female lead, she had to take it seriously. Liu Jiwei took out a colorless lip balm and pulled off the cap. She was about to apply it when she heard the person behind her say, Jiwei, I want some too. Liu Jiwei was taking it so seriously, she couldn't be so casual. Hearing that, Liu Jiwei's hand froze as she suddenly felt even more nervous. She quickly applied a layer and turned around, sitting down on the sofa with the lip balm. I'll help you put it on, or you'll do it yourself. Sang Wanxi looked at the lip balm, then at Liu Jiwei's glistening lips, an idea forming in her heart. I'll do it myself. Liu Jiwei passed the lip balm to her. But Sang Wanxi set it aside and leaned in, reaching out to brush her hand against Liu Jiwei's cheek before kissing her gently. Liu Jiwei was unprepared, frozen on the spot like a block of wood. The moment their lips touched, she immediately felt the softness. Sang Wanxi's lips were ridiculously soft, kissing her was like kissing a bouncy piece of fruit jelly, it was unforgettable. Her kiss was careful and clean. Their lips had just touched lightly before parting. It was just a short touch. Liu Jiwei's heart was already racing. There's lip balm here too. Liu Jiwei heard, she looked at Sang Wanxi's lips. There was a bit of moisture on them, casually applied, but also suggestive. It was a mark of their intimacy that nobody else knew about. Her heart raced even faster. Her ability to speak was diminishing. Liu Jiwei's face was beet red at this point. Drawing closer, Sang Wanxi could smell a faint, fruity fragrance. It came from Liu Jiwei's lips. It was a little sweet, as if Liu Jiwei's lips had become sweet too. Her gaze stayed on Liu Jiwei's lips, unsatisfied. She still wanted to taste it. So she lifted up Liu Jiwei's face gently and asked in a low voice, Can I jija? Thousands of unspoken words were condensed in those simple words. Liu Jiwei looked into her eyes and understood. They had formed some unspeakable secret in that light kiss. Sang Wanxi's fingers gently stroked against Liu Jiwei's cheek as she waited patiently for an answer. The next second, she saw Liu Jiwei nod gently. The atmosphere was ambiguous and heated. The fruity fragrance enveloped them. Liu Jiwei's ability to think was slowing down. She forgot how to refuse, only remembering how to agree, remembering that she wanted to satisfy the person in front of her, so she agreed. Naturally. She saw Sang Wanxi smile. That smile was even more beautiful than tonight's moon, more beautiful than the first blooming flower in spring. Astonishingly beautiful. Another gentle kiss landed. This time, it wasn't just a simple brush of their lips. It was more daring and more seductive this time. Gentle bites and teeth scraping against their lips. Their breaths grew more erratic amidst the fragrance. Sang Wanxi's kiss had a hint of curiosity. Testing the boundaries of the other person and herself. How much of me can she accept? How much of her can I accept? Why do I always want to kiss her? Is it really because I like her? But at least she had confirmed one thing. She liked kissing Liu Jiwei. She liked that Liu Jiwei would react to her. She liked the space between Liu Jiwei's lips. She liked this feeling of not being able to control her feelings. The unpracticed first kiss was made even better thanks to the fruity fragrance. Even Liu Jiwei had started to give up on all her considerations, following her own inclinations. She learned from Sang Wansi, kissing her back, biting on her lower lip, then gently holding it between her own lips. It was the first time she realized, it turns out kissing is such a beautiful thing. Or rather, kissing Sang Wansi was such a beautiful thing. So how would Sang Wansi decide tomorrow after experiencing what kissing was like? Would she choose to actually do the kissing scene? Thinking about it, her heart suddenly hurt a little. She didn't want to see Sang Wansi kiss anybody else, especially Chu Luo. It felt like losing to the original male lead. It made her unhappy thinking about it. The kiss finally came to an end. Liu Jiwei lowered her eyes, letting go of Sang Wansi reluctantly. She suspected she had been kissed silly. Otherwise how would she start minding Chu Luo and Sang Wansi's kissing scene? They were the male and female leads. Was it very odd to have a kissing scene? Wake up, Liu Jiwei. She patted her face, with 2 smacks sounding out clearly in the room. Sang Wansi was in a good mood. But seeing Liu Jiwei patting her own face, she suddenly felt worried, asking, "What's wrong?" Liu Jiwei looked at her innocent eyes, feeling even more guilty. Wansi just wanted to try how kissing felt, but here you are thinking about all this nonsense. Are you even acting like a jija? You're terrible, Liu Jiwei. She laughed awkwardly, "No, nothing." Then she changed the topic, "My face now must be really red." Sang Wansi stared at her. It was very red, like the redness in the sky when the sun was setting. But she knew Liu Jiwei had always been shy. "It's okay." She consoled her. "Liu Jiwei." She admitted defeat. "Why is it that I'm here with a red face, but she can still be so calm? She even blush and feel shy. Is kissing me so boring? It can't be. My kissing is so bad." She snuck a glance at Sang Wansi, then saw her pink ears. She suddenly felt comforted. Her kissing skills shouldn't be so bad as to not make people feel anything at all. Now that you've tried it. Liu Jiwei shyly started, as she covered half her face. Then how do you plan to deal with that scene with Chu Luo tomorrow? Sang Wansi answered immediately, using the angle trick. Then she got up and went to bathe. Liu Jiwei suddenly felt relieved. But thinking about it, she was a bit suspicious. It couldn't be because my kissing is so bad, so she's turned off kissing now. God, are my kissing skills really so bad? The more she thought about it, the more she felt it was the truth. After all, she really had no experience. She thought she might be the first person in history to make the female lead give up on kissing the male lead because of her lousy kissing. It was simply embarrassing. But everything had to have a silver lining. Even if it was terrible, at least Sang Wansi wouldn't kiss Chu Luo. It was a good thing. She felt just a tiny bit comforted. Liu Jiwei's hand was pretty much recovered. At least she didn't need Sang Wansi's help to bathe anymore. So Sang Wansi had been able to resume bathing by herself. She soaked in the tub, staring at the ceiling. Her mind continually played back her first kiss. Her fingers traced her lips. It felt like Liu Jiwei's warmth and fruity fragrance was still left on them. There was no disgust or rejection. Only satisfaction and happiness. Could it be? Liking she didn't understand. But she had her phone, she could search for an answer online. She searched how to determine you like the same sex. An answer popped into her field of view. You're possessive over them, you want them to stay with you forever. You're not happy if they have any intimate actions with other people of the same sex. When they come near you, you'll want to kiss them. Sang Wansi thought about it. She realized that aside from the middle condition, she had fulfilled the rest. When Liu Jiwei came close, she wanted to kiss her. Not only that, she wanted to reach out and grab her, keeping her by her side forever. So this was liking someone. It wasn't the atmosphere or a spur-of-the-moment thing. She was still partially doubtful, this required more consideration and observation. Anyway, Liu Jiwei would be staying with her until she finished all her scenes. But she didn't know if Liu Jiwei liked her or not. Liu Jiwei always took on the Ji role, and she did call her Jija. At this time, she had no way to decide if Liu Jiwei actually liked her or just couldn't say no to her. She placed a hand on her forehead and sighed. Forget it, let us first decide if I like her or not. Liu Jiwei sat outside, hugging a cushion as she thought about the kiss. The fragrance of fruits. The unfamiliar sounds. This was her first time kissing someone. How embarrassing. She lowered her head and thought. Thinking about it, she thought about something serious. The system didn't say anything. Logically, as long as she finished the mission within the time limit, the system would issue the judgment and she would get the mission point. But this time, the system hadn't come out yet. That could only mean she hadn't completed the mission. That meant this dog system really wanted her to have a spring night worth 1,000 gold pieces with Sang Wansi. After confirming it, she wanted to scream how outrageous it was. Save me, Wansi and I don't have that kind of relationship. We just kissed, how are we supposed to have a spring night? I can't possibly kiss her the whole night, can I? If so, the skin of our lips would all be broken, and she would definitely think I'm some pervert. Liu Jiwei felt like this wouldn't do. If this continued, she would really be killed by this electric shock-giving system. She frantically called out for Lao Wu. She believed that as a high-level administrator, Lao Wu could definitely give her a reasonable solution. Once he heard Liu Jiwei calling for him desperately, Lao Wu thought something had happened again, so he rushed online. What is it? What is it? Did he not fix the program timely enough that Liu Jiwei got affected? It shouldn't be. He was working quite fast and the system hadn't even detected any turmoil in the world. Liu Jiwei complained, look at your system, look what outrageous missions it's giving me. Lao Wu. Because he was focused on fixing the program, he hadn't noticed the system had issued another mission. Now, he opened the mission tab. Only to see the A Spring Night worth 1,000 pieces of gold mission in there. Lao Wu, good fellow, what did you two do for the system to issue this kind of joke, can I ask? Did you two secretly get your marriage certificate while I wasn't around? Liu Jiwei covered her face slowly. We didn't do anything, there's no change in our relationship, we're just friends. It's not the time to talk about it now, hurry up and think of a way to fix this system's mission procedure. I don't want to always get some outrageous and impossible missions just to get shocked. This child is scared of pain, very scared, thanks. Lao Wu fell silent looking at the mission. 3 seconds later, he pushed up his spectacles. You two really didn't do anything. Although the system missions were very outrageous sometimes, but it was absolutely issued based on the current atmosphere and actions. He can't help the host against the system without knowing anything. Not even if it's his daughter. He might be a mother, but he still had to have the principles of being an administrator. Liu Jiwei kept quiet. After a while, she said, "Just kissed for a bit." Lao Wu, You two progressed so quickly in the blink of an eye, good fellow. Was his vacation within sight? Liu Jiwei was embarrassed and didn't he want to say any more. Tisk, we really just kissed for a bit. This system can't randomly give me missions. Kissing is kissing, we didn't progress, how can there be a spring night? Isn't it outrageous? As a high-level administrator, you must do something. Lao Wu believed Liu Jiwei wouldn't lie when it came to it, at most she would be too embarrassed to say it. But as for why the system would issue a mission that progressed so quickly, he had to do some research. Hold on, I'll research and see if I can adjust the system for you. There's still one night worth of time, don't worry. If you're really scared, you can just use your immunity pass. The precious immunity pass seemed like it couldn't be kept safe. Liu Jiwei sighed, check it first, if you can't, then I'll have to use it. Okay. Lao Wu began to flip through the information on the past missions. Liu Jiwei lay on the sofa and waited. On the other hand, she kept an ear out for Sang Wansi. She had gone in for so long, why was there no sound? It couldn't be that something happened to her. No, she should be taking a bath, let's just wait. But could it be that she didn't want to face Liu Jiwei because of her lousy kissing skills? Thinking about it, her expression fell. Then she patted her face again and warned herself not to think too much. She believed Sang Wansi was a polite, considerate kid. She wouldn't take the initiative to kiss her, then be disgusted that her skills were lousy. It was everybody's first time, there was no need to be so calculative about whether they were skilled or not. At this moment, she heard a sound from the bathroom door. Sang Wansi walked out, drying her hair with a towel. Her first reaction was to look for Liu Jiwei. She looked around the room. It was empty. Sang Wansi. Where was she? Why did she disappear? While Sang Wansi was taking a shower, Jiwei, she called out. Liu Jiwei quickly scrambled up from the sofa. I'm here, what's wrong? Sang Wansi felt relieved upon seeing her. Nothing, I thought you were missing. Liu Jiwei laughed. I'm not a 3-year-old kid who would run around, I'll tell you before going anywhere, don't worry. Sang Wansi nodded. That would be best. She didn't want Liu Jiwei to suddenly disappear from her side. The conversation suddenly ended. Once it turned quiet, Liu Jiwei thought of the mission issued by the system. Looking at the person in front of her, she couldn't help but be embarrassed. Kissing was already something she didn't dare to imagine, how could they progress directly to having a spring night? I'll go bathe. She tore her gaze away and escaped into the bathroom. Sang Wansi looked at her rushing by like the wind. Why did she run so fast? Lucy Jiao was in her dorm, lying in bed as she scrolled on her phone. After studying the whole day, it was time to relax. She habitually opened Liu Jiwei's Weibo. There weren't any new posts. Then she looked at the official page for Phoenix. There was no official trailer. She felt bored and started tapping into the accounts of the show's cast, looking at them one by one. The female lead Sang Wansi's Weibo was basically an account for her work. She didn't take a lot of selfies or photos of her life, she was just like an emotionless work robot. The male lead Ying Xize was different. Although he didn't post often, he was livelier than Sang Wansi and would post some photos to share his life with his fans. Like that he ate noodles for dinner. Like that he caught a small penguin toy with $1. Or like a birthday gift. A red, hand-knitted hat. From Ying Xize's post, this hat was hand-knitted and given to him by a female cast member who was older when he was still filming Phoenix. He really liked the hat, even taking 9 photos with it on his head to show off. Lucy Jiao didn't think anything about it, on the verge of scrolling away. Then she suddenly remembered she was looking at the male lead in a show that her sister, Liu Jiwei, had acted in. The same crew, older than him, a female actress, hand-knitted. God, wouldn't that be her older sister who was gifted in handicrafts? She couldn't understand, feeling shocked. She got up and stuck her head out, looking at the 3 other beds and asking for help. In the entertainment industry, if a female actress gives a male actor something she knitted herself, is there a special meaning? Of course. One of her dorm mates stuck her head out too. Doesn't that mean that she's interested in him? Lucy Jiao. Another dorm mate pulled back her bed's curtain. Don't even talk about the entertainment industry. Which industry isn't like that? If you don't like them, why would you waste your time and effort to hand-knit something? I agree. I agree. Lucy Jiao quickly sat back and looked at that post of Ying Xize's again. Then her eyes widened to 2 circles and she covered her mouth in shock. What? My sister likes Ying Xize?